General Medicaid warning. The views expressed in 5-ish minute lore, the lore delivered in rants, are sanctioned by their scholar Progenium as excess rageous. Prolonged exposure can result in loss of IQ, high blood pressure, random outbursts, and blunt force trauma to the skull, resulting in unconsciousness. Please consult your local physician for more information.
Wait, we're doing another Abaddon video? Why? The last one was sufficient. Hang on a tick. The blasted vocalization modulator isn't working. Oh, that's 10,000 thrones wasted. Bloody Imperial must have fleeced me. Highest quality, my shiny metal ass. Alright, whatever. The Commissar's going to have to make do with a filthy Xenos recording his introduction segments.
So after 2017, Games Workshop decided to release a series of books in an effort to make Abaddon the Harmless into something other than a wet kitten trapped in a paper bag screaming Creed until his larynx collapsed. They had already been in the process of this for over a decade, using the Horus Heresy series to reimagine Abaddon from the top down as more than a dry cat turd. They actually turned around and showed Abaddon as he was before he started sniffing lines of cocaine off Celestia's thighs. Abaddon was actually a decent leader and displayed about the same amount of charisma as a wet fart, which, all things being said, is a massive improvement. He was a member of the Mournival, Horus Lupercal's advisory council, and alongside him were three others, Torek Turgarden, Little Horus Axelman, and Garviel Loken. Abaddon's role in this council was supposedly to give Horus advice, but really what he did in this council was shut the hell up and do exactly what Horus told him to do. There was only a few times where he actually took the role that he was supposed to have seriously and tried to give Horus advice, which usually ended in Abaddon throwing a fit and storming out, only to come crawling back to Horus's feet later to beg for forgiveness. All in all, though, he was fairly loyal to the tenets of the Great Crusade in the Imperium at large. So where did this loyal Space Marine turn wrong? At any point that you had to ask such questions, the only real thing that you need to know is #blame Lorgar. The Word Bearers had been doing some sneaky breaking, and one of the things they snuck into a lot of the other legions was the concept of the Warrior Lodges. Abaddon, of course, himself was a card-carrying member of said warrior lodges, and made it a point to recruit as many people as he could to this little illegal organization by the Emperor's own decree. When Horus got shanked on a moon orbiting Davin, Abaddon was one of the first ones who decided to betray everything he had stood for and take Horus to a snake temple.
Oh my.
Damn it, okay!
He threw everything away so just maybe Daddy would live, and anyone who actually had principles became his enemy. Seriously, his character shift between loyal son of the Emperor and let's betray the Emperor happened so fast when I read it, I tried to sue for whiplash. I often mock Lorgar for having daddy issues, but nobody had more daddy issues than Abaddon himself. The second that Garviel Loken objected to taking Horus to the temple, Abaddon went from, "Garviel, you're my brother and I love you," to, "I want you dead, you suck. Everything about you sucks. Your shoes, ass. Your cut, ass. Your sword skills, ass." Essentially, Abaddon took it on himself to just take a shit on Garviel Loken at any point that he could. After the betrayal at Isfahan 3, Abaddon spends most of his time either questioning Horus or defending him, and he can never seem to decide which. Remember, at the end of the heresy, Abaddon is supposed to believe that Horus screwed all of this up. Basically, at this point in the writing, Abaddon is written like he's going through puberty, alternating between "I love you, Dad" and "fuck you, Dad" half the time on the same page of text. Eventually, Abaddon starts noticing that Horus is addicted to chaos and spends more time chasing the dragon than planning the invasion. Horus got worse and worse about this, and nothing sucks worse than trying to plan a military invasion with a leader who's snorting a line of coke off a hooker's ass while trying not to think about the VD he's gonna get from said hooker at the same time he's waving around a sword, then screaming revolution. In fact, the only good tactical decision Horus made was to give overall military command of the Siege of Terra to Perturabo. And after Perturabo had simply had enough of the sheer stupidity, he left. And Horus's only real tactical plan was to just throw everything at the wall until something gave. Horus did this until the Dark Angels and Ultramarines broke through the warp, at which point Horus started panicking, trying to figure out how to salvage something out of this that could be called a win from the disaster that it became. I wonder if that's going to become a recurring theme, like Fething Father, like Fething Son. At this point, Abaddon was the only member of the Mournival left. Garviel Loken left because a hot blonde told him to and Horus tried to kill him. Torek Turgarden, dead. Horus Axelman was killed by the hot blonde sent Garviel. Essentially, Horus had one advisor left, which was Abaddon, but he wasn't listening to Abaddon anymore. He was listening to the four Chaos Gods who told Horus he was the best boy ever and the strongest creature in the universe. To prove it, Horus dropped the shields on his flagship and thereby invited the actual strongest thing in the universe on board, who proceeded to delete Horus from existence. Good game, noob. And then guess what happens? Apparently Abaddon has a change of heart, because before then he had been all fuck dead, he's a simp for the Chaos Gods, now he's crying bitter incel tears as he drags his dead father's body back to the Eye of Terror while getting chased by Sigismund and the Imperial Fist the entire way. So now we have this incredible backstory for Abaddon, the greatest Chaos Lord, the strongest active being in the galaxy, the master strategist, and what do they do with him?
You failed!
Yeah, he still sucks. Basically, let me tell you what really happened on the 13th Black Crusade. No, Abaddon didn't have some great idea about how to employ the Blackstone Fortress onto the surface of Cadia. There was nothing of that in his head. Let me tell you what really happened. He was getting his shit rammed in by Creed, again, ran out of hair ties to make his top knot longer, again, and then when he was sitting there watching his Kornite Berserkers get their shit pushed in by a bunch of humans, he finally had enough and just took a Blackstone Fortress and threw it at the planet, in 40K's version of I'm taking my ball and going home now. Anybody that tries to tell me that Abaddon did this on purpose or it was part of some great master plan is on crack, because here's the thing. You don't sit there and do that with your entire army on a planet. He did it because he was throwing a temper tantrum, and afterwards, instead of just admitting it, he pulled a Zinch.
Justice Clan!
Master strategist my ass. He can't put together an army, he can't lead. The only thing he's capable of doing is herding cats into a direction and yelling, go! If you were looking for more on this rant, I really ain't got nothing for you. Abaddon's a piece of crap. He's always been a piece of crap. He'll remain a piece of crap forever, and his arms are still falling off his model to this day. After hundreds of books of character development, games where he's given character development, everything else of a character development, he's still a character development black hole that is never gonna get any better because he's had 30 years of character development and is still the biggest piece of shit in the galaxy, of which I'm more afraid of the tactical acumen of a Tyrannid than I am of him. And as far as if I was living in the 40K universe, there's only one thing I'd like to do to Abaddon.
I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is! Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?